the University Marshal, Robin Dubin.
Commencement Convocation Ceremony of Case Western Reserve University is hereby convened. Please stand and remain standing for the playing of the national anthem and for the invocation. Ladies and gentlemen, please remain standing for the invocation delivered by Tony Vento, Catholic campus minister and president of the Interreligious Council of Case Western Reserve University.
As we come together for this long-awaited day, let us prepare our hearts to be mindful, grateful, hopeful, and responsible. At several points when I raise my hand, I will ask you to please repeat after me. But now, let us take a deep breath. Let us be still, and let us be mindful. Mindful of joy to savor in this threshold moment before the coming changes, of beauty deep in our neighbor, of 99% of the world who will never attend college, of humble wonder for our truest self, deep beyond our ego, external honors, or these robes. Please repeat after me. We seek to be mindful. We seek to be mindful. Let us take a deep breath. Let us be still. And let us be grateful. Grateful for the gifts in each moment and in our talents, for great learning from bold experiments, for mentors, educators, companions, and heroes, for all love that has blessed our way, and for our part in the dazzling web of life with all who come before and after us. Please repeat after me. We seek to be grateful. Let us take a deep breath. Let us be still, and let us be hopeful. Hopeful for our coming growth as we leave the familiar in our studies, our relationships, and our university. For finding deep gladness when our great gifts and our heart's desires meet the world's hungers. For healing and co-creating a world that is more compassionate, equitable, sustainable, and peaceful. Please repeat after me. We seek to be hopeful. Finally, let us take a deep breath. Let us be still one last time, and let us be responsible. Responsible for living our love by acting for the well-being of others, for being our best for the world instead of seeking to be the best in the world, and for living the legacy of great universities which find their purpose in service to transforming society. Please repeat after me. We seek to be responsible.
We seek to be responsible.
We seek to be mindful. We seek to be grateful. We seek to be hopeful. May it be so. Amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. The interim president of Case Western Reserve University, Gregory L. Eastwood.
Good morning. Graduates in the class of 2007 and your family and friends, honorary degree recipients Angela Johnson, Morton Mandel, Madi Mazie, trustees of the university, other distinguished guests, faculty, staff, alumni, and friends, I welcome you all to the 2007 commencement exercises of Case Western Reserve University. This commencement is the latest in a rich 181-year tradition dating back to 1826. In addition, I would like to welcome our distinguished platform party participants, including our trustees, vice presidents, deans, Congressman Louis Stokes, and the next president of the Case Western Reserve University, Barbara Snyder. That's it. Now, let us recognize some really important people, those loved ones and friends whose hard work and commitment have helped all of you who are graduating today to be so successful, those people who listened when you complained, who provided support and nourishment, who may have gone without so you could succeed. Will the parents of the graduates please stand up so we can recognize you? Will the husbands and wives and partners of the parents please stand up so we can recognize you? Will the children, and if you're little kids, raise them up. Please stand up so we can recognize you. There we go. Look at over there. Will the grandparents and great-grandparents please stand up? Will all other relatives and friends please stand up? Good. On behalf of the faculty, staff, and trustees of Case Western Reserve University, I congratulate all of you who are graduating today. We are extraordinarily proud of you and your accomplishments, and I wish you well. Now, let's get on to the business of the day. I'd like to introduce my friend and colleague, Provost and University Vice President John Anderson, who has the honor of introducing the recipient of this year's Frank and Dorothy Hummel Hovorka Prize. Please join me in welcoming Provost and University Vice President John Anderson.
Thank you, President Eastwood, and welcome faculty, students, families, and friends. The commencement program includes brief biographies of today's award winners. The Frank and Dorothy Hummel Hovorka Prize is awarded annually to a faculty member whose exceptional achievements in teaching, research, and scholarly service have benefited the community, the nation, and the world. The prize was created by Mrs. Hovorka, a longtime friend and honorary trustee of the university. Her husband, the late Frank Hovorka, was for many years a distinguished member of our department, the distinguished faculty member of our Department of Chemistry. Mrs. Hovorka joins us today as part of the platform party. Dorothy, please stand so we may recognize you. This year, the Havorka Prize winner is from the School of Medicine. Mr. President, on behalf of the Havorka Prize Committee, I present Nathan Berger, MD, Hannah Payne Professor of Experimental Medicine, and Director of Case Western Reserve University Center for Science, Health, and Society.
Nathan Berger, you are internationally renowned as a professor of medicine, biochemistry, and oncology, and the former dean of the School of Medicine. You have demonstrated extraordinary talent and dedication in your approach to your roles as a key leader in the School of Medicine. Through your leadership in the university's Center for Science, Health, and Society, collaboration between the university and the City of Cleveland has improved the health of city residents as well as the education of our students through community outreach, health education, and health policy programs. Nathan Berger, I confer upon you the Frank and Dorothy Hummel Havorka Prize for 2007 in recognition of your many important contributions to Case Western Reserve University, to our community, to the nation, and to our world.
Mr. President, on behalf of the Honorary Degree Committee of the Case Western Reserve University faculty, it is my distinct honor to present 4 candidates for the degrees honoris causa. In a ceremony that took place earlier last month at Bilkent University, Ihsan Doramaja was presented as a candidate for the degree of Doctor of Humane Letters honoris causa. As a physician and educator, Dr. Doramaja stands at the head of his class. As a founder of Bilkent University in Ankara, Dr. Doramaja aimed to create a center of excellence in higher education and research. Under his leadership, Bilkent has truly become the city of science and knowledge Dr. Doramaja envisioned. He contributes his expertise as a leader in groups such as World Health Organization, UNICEF, and the International Pediatric Association. Dr. Doramaja, many activities perfectly describe a man who serves the world.
Last month, I was honored to represent the university and traveled to Turkey to present this honorary degree to Dr. Doramaja in person. Here you can see me doing it. For his passionate contributions to higher education and on the recommendation of the university faculty and vote of the Board of Trustees, it is my pleasure to present Ihsan Doramaja the degree of Doctor of Humane Letters honoris causa with all the rights, privileges pertaining thereto.
Mr. President, on behalf of the Honorary Degree Committee of the University faculty, I present Angela Johnson as a candidate for the degree of Doctor of Humane Letters honoris causa. As Angela Johnson has recalled, her life has always been rich in books and stories. Since receiving her first diary, Dr. Johnson has not stopped writing. Today, she is an award-winning author of numerous children's picture books, poetry, and novels for young adults. Angela Johnson has been named a MacArthur Fellow, and she has won 3 Coretta Scott King Awards, one each for her novels Heaven, Toning the Sweep, and The First Part Last. As a visiting scholar through the Baker Nord Center for the Humanities, she shared her passion for writing with a new generation. Angela Johnson has ensured that our lives are rich in books and stories.
Angela Johnson, for your creative endeavors, and on the recommendation of the university faculty and vote of the Board of Trustees, it is my pleasure to present you the degree of Doctor of Humane Letters honoris causa, with all the rights and privileges pertaining thereto. To grant you this diploma, and to bestow upon you the hood of the university.
Mr. President, on behalf of the Honorary Degree Committee of the University faculty, I present Morton Mandel as candidate for the degree of Doctor of Humanities honoris causa. A Cleveland native, Morton Mandel's vision and philanthropic contributions have made a global impact. As a university trustee from 1977 to 1992, and now as an honorary trustee, his contributions to Case Western Reserve University are long-standing. Our campus is fortunate to have both the Mandel School of Applied Social Science and the Mandel Center for Nonprofit Organizations. Both of these units are integral to our academic enterprise. Dr. Mandel's affiliations cover numerous national and international activities, including the United Way of America, the Council of Jewish Federations, the Mandel Leadership Institute, and the World Conference of Jewish Community Centers. Through the work of the Mandel Foundation, founded with his brothers Joe and Jack, Morton Mandel has provided an outstanding leadership education to the nonprofit world at home and abroad. A central tenet to the Foundation's approach is a commitment to leadership education programs that cultivate vision and link compelling ideas to sound policy and effective outcomes. Morton Mandel's life and work clearly demonstrate his commitment to these beliefs.
Morton Mandel, for your efforts serving the greater good, and on the recommendation of the university faculty and vote of the Board of Trustees, it is my pleasure to present you the degree of Doctor of Humanities honoris causa with all the rights and privileges pertaining thereto, to grant you this diploma and to bestow upon you the hood of the university.
Mr. President, on behalf of the Honorary Degree Committee of the University faculty, I present Matti Maisi as a candidate for the degree of Doctor of Science honoris causa. Dr. Maisi's distinguished career has focused on raising the standards of the nursing profession. Since beginning her career as a public health nurse, Dr. Maisi went on to become a professor at the University of Pennsylvania School of Nursing. Dr. Maisi's writings include 10 books and more than 60 publications to prepare advanced practice nurses to care for older adults, to enhance nursing practices with older adults, and to address bioethical issues that affect decisions at the end of life. Since 1996, Dr. Maisi has directed the John A. Hartford Foundation Institute for Geriatric Nursing in the New York University Division of Nursing. This is the only nurse-led institute in the country that seeks to shape the quality of the nation's health care for older Americans by promoting geriatric nursing excellence to the larger healthcare community and the nursing profession. Dr. Maisi's work supports those who care for older adults and ensures that people age with comfort and dignity.
Matti Maisi, for your pioneering work to advance health care for older adults, and on the recommendation of the university faculty and by vote of the Board of Trustees, it is my pleasure to admit you to the degree of Doctor of Science honoris causa with all the rights and privileges pertaining thereto, to grant you this diploma and to bestow upon you the hood of this university. Our speaker, Richard Lederer, began his studies as a pre-medical student. He soon discovered that he was more interested in language, and he switched to a major in English. Next, he attended Harvard Law School and discovered that he was even more interested in the language itself than in the law cases which he was reading. Dr. Lederer switched to a Master of Arts and teaching program at Harvard that led to a teaching career in Concord, New Hampshire. Later, earning a PhD in English and linguistics at the University of New Hampshire, Lederer was inspired to write books on language, starting with Anguished English. Richard Lederer has written more than 30 books about language and humor, including his current book, Word Wizard. His syndicated column, Looking at Language, appears in several national newspapers and magazines. He has been profiled in magazines as diverse as The New Yorker, People, and the National Enquirer. He is language columnist for the Toastmaster, Pages, and the Farmer's Almanac, and until recently co-hosted a one-hour radio show called A Way with Words on public radio each weekend. Richard Lederer has been named Golden Gavel winner by the Toastmasters International and Celebrity in Action by the San Diego Foundation for Educational Achievement. Please welcome Dr. Richard Lederer.
President Eastwood, members of the Board of Trustees, members of the faculty, distinguished platform party, parents, grandparents, great-grandparents, other members of the families, and soon-to-be alumni. And please remember, individually, you're an alumnus or an alumna. You are not an alumni. In a recent poll, people were asked what they fear most in life. 19% responded death, while 42% responded speaking in public. So for a great many of us then, speaking in public is a fate worse than death. And delivering a graduation speech is even worse than that. For one thing, they're way too short, and as a result, the graduation committee has granted me a measly 1 hour and 15 minutes. I'm kidding, but it will seem that long. For another thing, I am almost the last man standing between the about-to-be graduates, and they're getting their diplomas. So they want me out of here as soon as possible. Echoing the words of President Franklin Delano Roosevelt, they want me to be sincere, be short, and be seated. And I shall. Thank you very much. No, I'm kidding. For yet another thing, I'm supposed to tell you, the class of 2007, that you should go out into the world to conquer inequalities and right injustices. I'm supposed to tell you that you are the hope of the nation and the light of the world. Well, I'm really, really bad at that kind of speech. But, on the other hand, I may be the most word-struck, word-besotted, word-bethumped, wordaholic, fly-by-the-roof-of-the-mouth, user-friendly linguist, wizard of idiom, Attila the pun, Conan the grammarian, the most verbivorous, and that means word-eating. You know, carnivores eat words, well, eat meat, and herbivores, plants and vegetables, well, verbivores eat words, love to feel the juices coursing down their cheeks. And I may be the most logoleptic, seized by words fellow you have ever met. So I thought that rather than giving you the usual motivational pitch, I would talk to you within that hour and a quarter about the lessons that human language teaches us about life. And the start, language like life is unpredictable. That's the human condition. We drive in a parkway and we park in a driveway. When it's on a ship, we call it cargo, but when it's in our car, we call it a shipment. And how is it that in the English language, our nose can run and our feet can smell? Incredibly, two opposite meanings can inhabit the same word. Often we get two meanings a good pun is like a good steak, a rare medium well done. But sometimes the meanings can be opposite. Here is an okay sign for this magnificent institution. I flew in Friday night without a plane, incidentally, and I have been to the senior send-off, to the beer party, the luncheon over there afterwards, and to the most wonderful women and their alma mater. Had a great time there, to the party at the Harcourt House last night. And I just have to give the okay to Case Western Reserve University, a big okay. And look at this. I am going to poke my head through that circle. Big head, small circle, but watch it. I'm going to poke my head through that circle. Would you agree I have just done that? And that is because those are called contronyms. And poke your head has two opposite meanings. I wrote this part for you, Dr. Eastwood. That is, poke your head can mean that the head is doing the poking or being poked. Two opposite meanings. For example, when these lights are out, you can't see them, but when the sun is out, you can see it, and notice the sun is coming out. I brought some San Diego weather. Last night, when the rain was coming down, I said, gee, I hope that this rain will keep up tomorrow, because if it keeps up, it won't come down. It's keeping up. Contronymic thinking. You'll notice this is a commencement. Well, that does mean beginning, but it's also a graduation and ending. That says a lot contronymically about your lives. This is an ending, but just the beginning. And when I wind up my watch, I start it, I ignite it. But when I wind up this talk in about an hour and 5 minutes now, I conclude it. Wind up can mean to start or to end. So language doesn't always make a lot of sense and can be kind of weird, just like life. Because in life itself, we live in a culture in which the pizza truck gets to your home faster than an ambulance when you need it. A culture in which people order a double cheeseburger, large fries, and a Diet Coke. A culture in which we leave $30,000 cars in the driveway and put all our junk in the garage. So it doesn't make a lot of sense at times, but you know, if you look hard and passionately enough, language and sometimes life can make a lot of sense. I want you to picture the word ambidextrous. Ambidextrous. It's a 12-letter word that means having equal facility on the left, with the left and right hands. Well, look at that word and you will find that the first 6 letters, A, M, B, I, D, E, are on the left side of the alphabet, and X, T, R, O, U, S are on the right side. Try writing the number 29 with straight lines, and the Y has to be 3 lines, like that, and there's a hyphen, and you will find that 29 in capital letters is cobbled entirely of straight lines, 29 of them. Go to a typewriter, go to the second row. You will be able to type on a standard QWERTY keyboard. You'll be able to type a number of 10-letter words, and guess what? One of them is typewriter. Give it a try. And do you wonder why we pay so much taxes to the government? Why is so much of our hard-earned money theirs? Because if you look at the personal pronoun capitalized theirs, you will find that it spells the IRS. That's why. So life, like language, is full of epiphanies if you look hard enough and passionately enough. Another thing about language is we have choices about levels of usage. And perhaps the most valuable thing I can say to you as the former usage editor of the Unabridged Random House Dictionary of the English language is that good usage is written on the sand. And the operative words are written and sand. The sand may blow away and erode, but at any given time, there is a code. And so, for example, you are graduating from Case Western Reserve University. Now, we know that graduating Case Western Reserve is coming in because your generation drops what are called particle verbs. They look like prepositions. Hey, can you hang, don't cave, you know, that kind of thing. And there's no other little word with it. Can you deal? There's no with there. But for now, it is graduate from. And if you want to reap the full rewards of world civilization, you probably should say graduate from. And just to be sure that you are going to be graduating with a clear sense of the difference between the two most confused verbs in our language, you're going to get Richard Lederer's 3 lessons. Think about, with our million words in English, the 2 verbs that collide the most and people mess up the most. Not affect and effect, because in most situations, affect is the verb and something has an effect on you, the noun. But those 2, as I'm sure you would shout out if I asked, are lie and lay. Let's be sure we know the difference. Meaning, lay means to put and lie means to rest or repose. So I am putting these glasses, I don't want to make a spectacle of myself, but I don't mind, onto whatever the heck this thing is. There's another one. So in terms of the L word, what am I doing? Everybody tell me. Laying, more. What am I doing? Now. Thank you for that unanimous response. I appreciate that. Okay, now there's no more putting. The proof is in the putting. There is no more. They're resting or reposing. What are they doing? So lay, but the laying's all over. It's now they're lying. There's no more putting. They're reposing. And this makes a difference, and I must say, in January of 2002, many of you will recall one of the real corporate nightmares broke on the American landscape, and it was the Enron scandal. And when I noted the name of the disgraced and now, alas, late CEO, you know who he is, Kenneth? Okay, I wrote a little poem, and it goes, the difference between lie and lay has fallen into deep decay. But now we know from Enron's shame that lay and lie are just the same. You will have to make decisions about level of usage in language and certainly in your life. I have the honor of having been elected International Punster of the Year, the fastest pun slinger in the world. And that is because I adore double and triple entendres, meanings in language. And just as life has many subtle meanings compacted in the small spaces, so does language. And as a result of that, I have been able to cobble together what is probably my most famous essay, The World According to Student Bloopers. It begins with the Egyptians who lived in the Sahara Desert, and they all wrote in hydraulics. It continues into the Greeks. The Greeks were a highly sculptured people, and without them we wouldn't have history. The Greeks invented myths. A myth is a female moth. And one myth tells us that the mother of Achilles dipped him in the river Styx until he became intolerable. Socrates was a famous Greek teacher who went around giving people advice. They killed him. Socrates died of an overdose of wedlock. Ultimately, the Romans came along and conquered the geeks, and we have a focus on Julius Caesar, who extinguished himself on the battlefields of Gaul, and when the Ides of March murdered him, he expired with these immortal words upon his dying lips, Eat you, Brutus. And the gradually swelling laughter is a very important message. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the laughter of educated people. That is not snooty or snobby. It is not, did you complete high school? Did you go to college? Did you finish that? Did you go on, past undergraduate? What's the name of the college or university? That's not what educated is. What I mean by educated people are those, and I can feel it alive and well here at Case Western Reserve, those who have acquired a common ground of reference and allusion. And that reference and allusion that knits together a civilization, because you know something, the more you learn, the more you know, the more joy you have in your life. So when you hear a student inadvertently giving this definition of the Renaissance was a time when people felt the value of their human being. That's humanism with humankind at the center of all things, and we feel the value of our human being today with these ceremonies. And then you get to Sir Francis Drake, who circumcised the world with a 100-foot clipper. Then your stomach is detonated into a rolling boil because you know, for example, going back a bit, that the mother of Achilles, the nymph Thetis, grasped the infant Achilles by the heel and immersed him in the underworld river Styx and gave him the first Achilles heel in history, because that didn't get immortalized and invulnerabilized. And therefore, you laugh because you know what it should have been. Finally, and I know that's a word that you all like to hear, especially the graduates, obviously the introduction and that cannot cover everything about me, but I happen to be the father of the two most famous poker players in the world, Howard Lederer, the professor of poker, and Annie Duke, the princess of poker. Some of you are nodding, you've seen them. Well, you're looking at a tragic figure because their incredible talent did not rub off on their father. But the point is, they really marched to the beat of a different drummer and took a different path from their father, who at that time was a church boarding school teacher in New England. And I am thrilled that my children turned out different from me, because like me, they discovered what they were put on this planet to do. And that is, and I know there are some issues of addiction and so on in poker and youth, and I recognize those and respect those, but for my children, this is what they were put on this planet to do, and that is to broadcast to the world, to cast their seed broadly, the news about this incredibly intellectual game, particularly of Texas Hold'em. I'm thrilled that my son and my daughter have found that. And they, like me, they love what they do. And when you love what you do, when there is virtually no space between who you are and what you do, you will never work a day in your life. And many of you, I know, are on your way to do it. Let me tell you, at your age, I hadn't a clue what I was going to do. I had been pre-med. I kept reading the chemistry books for their literary value. I went off to law school, and it was kind of the same thing. And fortunately, hey, maybe the money wasn't as good, but I ended up being a fly by the roof of the mouth, user-friendly linguist, wizard of idiom, and you've heard that before. So really try to do what you love, and you will never work. And by the way, please do remember to go out and conquer inequalities and right injustices, because you are truly the hope of the nation. You are the light of the world in the future. Class of 2007, congratulations.
Richard, you've given the lie to those two words you mentioned. Anyway, so We've had a wonderful time with Richard just over the last day or so, and he happens to sort of resonate with some of my interests, but lest my wife, who's sitting in the front row, get anxious that I'm going to say anything, I'm not. Yes. We had a wonderful time last night at my house trading our wits. I think most of his wit came to me, though. Thank you for sharing your wit and wisdom, and let's get on with the conferring of the degrees.
The deans of the schools and colleges will now present candidates for degrees to be conferred today. Also to be presented are graduates whose degrees were officially conferred in August and January and who have returned to participate in today's ceremony. The undergraduate candidates from the Weatherhead School of Management, the Francis Payne Bolton School of Nursing, the Case School of Engineering, and the College of Arts and Sciences will be presented by Deans Mohan Reddy, May Weichel, Norman Tien, and Cyrus Taylor, respectively.
Mr. President, I have the honor of presenting from the Weatherhead School of Management candidates for the degrees of Bachelor of Science in Accounting and Bachelor of Science in Management.
Will these candidates please rise and remain standing?
Mr. President, I have the honor of presenting from the Francis Payne Bolton School of Nursing candidates for the degree of Bachelor of Science in Nursing.
Will these candidates please rise and remain standing?
Mr. President, I have the honor of presenting from the Case School of Engineering candidates for the degrees of Bachelor of Science in Computer Science and Bachelor of Science in Engineering.
Will these candidates please rise and remain standing?
Mr. President, I have the honor of presenting from the College of Arts and Sciences candidates for the degrees of Bachelor of Arts and Bachelor of Science as described in the program.
Will these candidates please rise and remain standing?
These candidates, having met all requirements of their course of study, have been certified to the Board of Trustees as meriting the degree of Bachelor of Arts or Bachelor of Science as described in the program. By order of the Board of Trustees and by virtue of the authority vested in me, I now confer upon these candidates their degrees and admit them to the honors, rights, privileges, and obligations pertaining thereto. Congratulations.
Please be seated. Interim Dean Pamela Davis will present candidates from the School of Medicine.
Mr. President, I have the honor to present from the School of Medicine the candidates for the degree of Doctor of Medicine.
Will these candidates please rise?
By order of the Board of Trustees and by virtue of the authority vested in me, I now confer upon these candidates the degree of Doctor of Medicine and admit them to the honors, rights, privileges, and obligations pertaining thereto. Congratulations.
Please be seated. Dean Norman Tien will present candidates from the Case School of Engineering.
Mr. President, I have the honor of presenting from the Case School of Engineering candidates for the degree of Master of Engineering.
Will these candidates please rise?
By order of the Board of Trustees and by virtue of the authority vested in me, I now confer upon these candidates the degree of Master of Engineering and admit them to the honors, rights, privileges, and obligations pertaining thereto.
Please be seated. Dean Charles Rozek will present candidates from the School of Graduate Studies.
Mr. President, I have the honor of presenting from the School of Graduate Studies candidates for the degrees of Master of Arts, Master of Fine Arts, Master of Public Health, Master of Science, and Master of Science in the fields of engineering.
Will these candidates please rise?
By order of the Board of Trustees and by virtue of the authority vested in me, I now confer upon these candidates the degree of Master of Arts, Master of Fine Arts, Master of Public Health, Master of Science in the fields of engineering, and admit them to the honors, rights, privileges, and obligations pertaining thereto. Congratulations.
Please be seated.
Mr. President, I have the honor of presenting from the School of Graduate Studies candidates for the degrees of Doctor of Musical Arts and Doctor of Philosophy.
Will these candidates please rise?
By order of the Board of Trustees and by virtue of the authority vested in me, I now confer upon these candidates the degrees of Doctor of Musical Arts or Doctor of Philosophy and admit them to the honors, rights, privileges, and obligations pertaining thereto. Congratulations.
Please be seated. Dean Gary Simpson will present candidates from the School of Law.
Mr. President, I have the honor of presenting from the School of Law candidates for the degrees of Juris Doctor and Master of Laws.
Will these candidates please rise?
By order of the Board of Trustees and by virtue of the authority vested in me, I now confer upon these candidates the degree of Juris Doctor or Master of Laws and admit them to the honors, rights, privileges, and obligations pertaining thereto. Congratulations.
Please be seated. Dean Gerald Goldberg will present candidates from the School of Dental Medicine.
Mr. President, I have the honor to present from the School of Dental Medicine candidates for the degree of Doctor of Dental Surgery, Doctor of Dental Medicine, and Master of Science in Dentistry.
Will these candidates please rise?
By order of the Board of Trustees and by virtue of the authority vested in me, I now confer upon these candidates the degree of Doctor of Dental Surgery, Doctor of Dental Medicine, or Master of Science in Dentistry, and admit them to the honors, rights, privileges, and obligations pertaining thereto. Congratulations.
Please be seated. Dean Grover Cleveland Gilmore will present candidates from the Mandel School of Applied Social Science.
Mr. President, I have the honor of presenting from the Mandel School of Applied Social Sciences candidates for the degree of Master of Science in Social Administration or Master of Nonprofit Organizations.
Will these candidates please rise?
By order of the Board of Trustees and by virtue of the authority vested in me, I now confer upon these candidates the degrees of Master of Science in Social Administration or Master of Nonprofit Organizations and admit them to the honors, rights, privileges, and obligations pertaining thereto. Congratulations.
Please be seated. Dean May Weichel will present candidates from the Francis Payne Bolton School of Nursing.
Mr. President, I have the honor of presenting from the Francis Payne Bolton School of Nursing candidates for the Master of Science in Nursing or Doctor of Nursing Practice.
Will these candidates please rise?
By order of the Board of Trustees and by virtue of the authority vested in me, I now confer upon these candidates the degree of Master of Science in Nursing or Doctor of Nursing Practice and admit them to the honors, rights, privileges, and obligations pertaining thereto. Congratulations.
Please be seated. Dean Mohan Reddy will present candidates from the Weatherhead School of Management.
Mr. President, I have the honor of presenting from the Weatherhead School of Management candidates for the degree of Executive Doctor of Management, Master of Accountancy, Master of Business Administration, Master of Science in Management, Master of Engineering in Management, or Master of Science in Positive Organization Development and Change.
Will these candidates please rise?
By order of the Board of Trustees and by virtue of the authority vested in me, I now confer upon these candidates the degree of Executive Doctor of Management, Master of Accountancy, Master of Business Administration, Master of Science in Management, Master of Engineering and Management, or Master of Science in Positive Organization Development and Change, and admit them to the honors, rights, privileges, and obligations pertaining thereto. Congratulations.
Please be seated.
In recognition of the degrees just conferred, diplomas and the appropriate hoods will be presented by each dean at separate school or college diploma ceremonies after this convocation.
Please join me in welcoming the Chairman of the Board of Trustees and graduate of Case Institute of Technology, Frank N. Linsalata.
On behalf of the Board of Trustees and as an alumnus of our university, I welcome all of today's graduates to the University Alumni Association. At this time, I would like to thank Interim President Greg Eastwood for his distinguished service to our university. Approximately 1 year ago, when this university needed you the most, you graciously stepped up to serve. You united our alumni and provided steadfast leadership that instilled confidence to move the university forward. Your commitment to your alma mater is a testament to all of us here today. Greg, you did not allow words like interim to stop you from caring or for demonstrating great leadership to face any issue. For those new graduates out there today, you too can make a difference in the life of our university. Perhaps one day you also will receive that call to volunteer, and I encourage you to think about the impact that saying yes can make. Greg, we thank you for your leadership and pursuit of academic excellence this past year. We look forward to your continued engagement and leadership as the director of the Intermore Center for Ethics and Excellence. Greg, I invite you to the podium to provide your closing remarks.
Thank you, Frank, and I thank everyone associated with this university. It's been a wonderful year for Lynn and me, and notice I didn't say for Lynn and I.
I caught it, right.
And you all have contributed to that, and I appreciate it very much. I believe that a great university changes the world. At Case Western Reserve University, we do that by the actions of many people, including our faculty, our staff, the students before they graduate, and many others who are associated with the university. But we do it mainly through our graduates, you. The university has a rich history of people who have changed the world. Albert Michelson and Edward Morley, whose careful experiments in 1887 provided important evidence for Albert Einstein to develop his special theory of relativity. The 15 Nobel Prize winners who have been associated with this university, one of whom, Farad Murad, was on campus last week to give an outstanding lecture, and with whom I am privileged to serve on the Board of Trustees. And the thousands of others whose ranks you will join, who have changed the world in big and small ways since 1826. You will have many opportunities for personal growth and satisfaction, as well as opportunities to benefit humankind. Sometimes these opportunities will complement, sometimes they will conflict. Throughout, I urge you to preserve and nurture whatever ideals and passion you now have, because that is what will sustain you and keep your spirit alive for as long as you live. You also will have opportunities for leadership. I believe that the world needs leaders who can think big and think small simultaneously. Leaders who think and act strategically and tactically at the same time. Leaders who are capable of understanding broad ideas simultaneously with understanding their application. Leaders who are capable of fusing their left and their right brains. These are people I call pragmatic visionaries. Where would you learn such leadership? Well, I accept that some of leadership is innate. It comes with us. At least it came with you before you came here. But you've been in a university for several years now that is a paradigm for the leadership that I described. At Case Western Reserve University, students are exposed to outstanding science, engineering, medicine, other health sciences, social sciences, law, business, arts, humanities. Its location among some of the finest cultural institutions in the country, in the world, is unique. It is a university where the left and right brains are fused. The university is not just science, not just arts and humanities. Its special character is a synthesis of all that is here, and you have experienced this. I urge you to answer the call to leadership because the world is in great need of the leadership that you can provide, and I think you will be well prepared to provide that leadership. I extend my very best wishes and congratulations to all of you. May you be a credit to your families, to those who love you everywhere, to your university, and most of all, to your own sense of values and what you want to accomplish during this life. Thank you.
Please rise and join us in the singing of the Alma Mater, which can be found on page 6 of your program. Our Alma Mater will be led by 2 of our graduating students, conductor Colin Milne and singer Christine Chambers. Gentlemen, this concludes our convocation. The marshals will now lead the graduate and professional schools to their next locations, which are listed on page 4 of your program. Please do not attempt to meet your student outside of this building, but instead go directly to the location indicated in the program. Undergraduate candidates and their guests should remain seated. Thank you.